Hello, popcorn junkies. Welcome to this trailer reaction to a film called Warfare. Warfare, the new film, co-directed by Alex Garland, alongside Ray Mendoza, who I think is a military consultant, but also obviously has enough hands-on contribution in this film to take a co-director's credit. For those of you who don't know who Alex Garland is, he wrote things like The Beach. He wrote films like 28 Days, 28 Years, 28 Weeks Later. He's also responsible for directing classics like Ex Machina, Annihilation, Men, and more recently Civil War, which was an interesting film with some great moments in it, but for me it was a little bit disappointing, Civil War. But what's this? This is Warfare. This is also coming from the studio A24. This is based on Ray Mendoza, the co-director's experiences during the Iraq War as a US Navy SEAL. It's difficult, isn't it, this kind of thing now? Because, of course, like any boy, but not just boys, girls too, you know, I like an army film. I like a war film. I think when they're done well, I think of films like Full Metal Jacket, Platoon, interesting, All Quiet on the Western Front, compelling, adrenaline-fueled, interesting films. Now, there's a lot of films to be made about recent conflicts like Afghanistan, like Iraq, and what have you. But I think one of the things that made some of the older films quite easy to get on board with was the idea of there being this known enemy. And I have some of my issues with some of the more sort of recent documentaries that there've been, is that they demand that you get on board with the accepted narrative as to who is the baddie, who is the goodie, and more often than not, as we're discovering, as the wool sort of evaporates from before our eyes, we realise that most conflicts are infinitely more layered and fractured in terms of who is good, who is bad. Look at Syria, for example. It's never straightforward. It's never simple. So with all that in mind, I'm on the one hand the kind of film lover and child sort of fascinated by conflict and war, playing with toy soldiers, is drawn to this as an idea, an intimate, sort of gritty, grimy, sinewy, grubby, warts and all close-up kind of portrait of a war, the Iraq War, but treated, I'm feeling or sensing, given the sort of same treatment that Sam Mendes gave to World War I with 1917. And so it's with that in mind that I'm going into this. I think that might be, I've read somewhere on the A24 website, it says this is told in real time. Are we going to be looking at continuous takes? Are we going to be looking at incredibly well choreographed and orchestrated scenes of relentless battle? It stars Will Poulter in there, amongst others, alongside Cosmo Jarvis, Kit Connor, D'Pharaoh Woon-A-Tai as Ray Mendoza. Michael Gandolfini is in there too. So without further ado, let's check it out and let's see you on the other side. So this is called Warfare.
How's it going? It's going well. That's that new guy energy.
Oh, he's back. That's the fourth fucking time he's done that.
Is he peeking at probing?
Peeking with serious intent to probe.
Alpha 2, we might have guys starting to move on our position.
Copy, we're getting a buildup of activity here too.
Yeah, I definitely see weapons at this point.
Yeah, we have definite massing.
Redman 08 is profane. We're seeing activity converging to your north and south.
This is Frogman 6 Romeo. We need evac at our last known position.
We have severely wounded. Who's severely wounded?
It's not you.
Is it me? Who is it?
No, it's not you.
Who is it?
Copy, 1, we're in contact 2.
You coming to you or you coming to us?
Stand by. We'll let you know when we're inbound.
Let's move!
Here's the plan.
EA 5 minutes, over.
The scouts are going to lead us out, and I'm bringing up the rear. Pop smoke. Smoke out. We are all coming back.
OP1, they are en route to you.
3 minutes out! 3 minutes! Eyes on me and only me. Does anyone look at you?
I'm fucked up.
minutes out! 2 minutes!
Where are you guys?
Look for the blood and the smoke!
Multiple bad guys trying to get to our position.
Inbound! Inbound! Find cover!
1 minute out.
We have enemy on our building and all surrounding buildings.
Roger that. Stand by. Going hot.
Get ready, guys. It's gonna hurt.
On my count. 1, 2, 3.
Well, it's called warfare. It's about the nuts and bolts of warfare. It's about the fact that many of these soldiers are young men, are often there not because of their choice, not through a choice of their own, aren't necessarily behind or part of the global politics. Because I think the problem I do have with any of these films now, and this is a post-Gaza Israel issue, is that I no longer can view the soldiers that the film is asking us to identify with. I can't just simply, obviously one has a humanistic compassion for what they're going through and the fact that they're at risk and that you don't want any of them to die. But that sort of sense in the past of a clear enemy, I'm not looking at, okay, a better way of putting it is I'm not looking at their targets or the people that are trying to get them and necessarily thinking they are automatically the baddies. Because as we know, the Iraq war was fought on a dodgy dossier or two. It was fraudulent claims of weapons of mass destruction. America and the West tore apart Iraq completely and left an absolute hinterland of wildness and just terror. So it was more terrorizing than it ever was before. So, you know, as I'm looking at the Arabs through the kind of crosshairs of their rifles, I'm not feeling for the person behind the gun. And so, you know, my worry with a film like this is, yes, there's the nuts and bolts of dispassionately going through the drama and the horror and the rigmarole and the stress and the unknowability and the waiting. You know, that great sort of quote about being on a film set, hurry up and wait. The worst part of it all is the hurry up and wait. Hurry up and what? Am I going to get shot at? Am I going to shoot? So I hope it goes into a portrait of what it means to these youngsters, you know, having to fight this war that they don't necessarily fully understand the sort of finer details of. But it's interesting watching something like this in this post-Israel Gaza world. I'm not buying into who the us and them are, whilst admittedly the director is one of the Navy SEALs in this troop. You know, you're rooting for them insofar as you're rooting for them as humans, and we're going to be asked to root for them. There's Joseph Quinn in there too. And what they're going through is horrific, and the horror of it and the grisliness of it, and just the fact that these young guys are forced into these situations due to politicians who should know better. That is something I'm always willing to get on board with. But yeah, I mean, it looks well made. It looks impactful. I'm getting Hurt Locker vibes as well in there. What do you think, guys?